Hey guys, what's up? I'm back with another programming video for you all, and today I'm going to show you guys a bubble sorting visualizer that I just made in Java. And I made this project because I haven't done like any actual Java projects in like the 8 months that I've been using it. I've just mainly been using it for school, so I want to do this and kind of get more familiar with Swing and AWT as well. So yeah, but before we actually go through the code, which that's what I'm going to be doing in this video, I'm just going to go through the code. I'm going to actually show you guys how this works. So you can see we have the array, which is just a bunch of rectangles, and we have two buttons. We have the start button, the reset button. Start button starts sorting it, and then you can see there's like red rectangles. Those are the ones being compared. And then we have a reset button. We click reset, and it generates a new array, and then we can start the process over. And we can reset in the middle of this visualization if we want, and just start over. So that's how it works. Like I said, I made this. Literally, I started working on this morning, so it took me about like I don't know, like 6 or 7 hours or so. I don't know. It was my first project, guys. All right, give me a break. But yeah, I have three classes. All right, three Java files. We have the main file right here, the main.java, which all this does is contains the main function, and then we have the frame, class, which extends JFrame, and this is basically we're creating a frame or a JFrame, which is then created in Java, and then in sorting panel, the sorting panel class is basically where we're drawing everything, and we're actually performing the algorithm. The bulk of the code is in the sorting panel class. This extends JPanel. What the extends basically means is it's saying that the frame class is inheriting all of the JFrame components, everything that's in the JFrame class. So it's going to act as a JFrame, and sorting panel is going to act as a JPanel. Now, if you're not very familiar with Swing, basically what a JFrame and a JPanel are is basically, think of the JFrame as like the window, whereas the JPanel is everything that's inside it. So I like to think of it as like the JFrame is like a picture, basically, where you have like a picture frame, and then you put the picture inside of it. The picture frame is the JFrame, whereas the JPanel would be the actual picture that you're inserting inside of it. So there's not much to say about these two classes, the main and the frame class. That basically is just where I created the panel. I created the I don't need that. Basically where I create the panel, and then I add it to the frame, whatever. But this is where the main code is from. So we have a couple methods that I want to go over, but we'll start off with the top here. We have a couple things. We have a random instance of the random class we created for generating random integers, and then we have an array, and then we have these two variables, which are basically going to be used for the sorting algorithm. Then we have some buttons we created for start and reset, and then we have a Boolean value to basically determine if the algorithm is running or not. Let's start out with the constructor for the sorting panel. Initializes these variables to their correct values. I gave compare index a large value like this, so it doesn't draw a random array or a random rectangle in the array red when it's not sorting it. And then this method right here is a setter that sets the array, generates the random numbers. And then we have some code that's basically setting up the buttons, right? So we have the start button, and we added this thing called an action listener. We used the add action listener method, and then we create a new action listener. To be honest, I don't really understand how this code works. I just know that in order to use a button, you need to have this code. You don't have to do it exactly like this, but this is just the method that I used to do it. And basically what happens is, if the start button is clicked, all right, it's basically going to set is running to true, because it's the algorithm, the visualizer is now running, and then it calls this bubble sort animate, which basically this is the function responsible for actually animating the the sorting algorithm. And then for the reset, functions the same way. All right, if you hit the reset button, it's going to change all the values, generate new values for the array. It's going to redeclare these indexes here. It's going to say is running to false. This is important because when I didn't have this, it actually would give me like an array out of bounds error because it kept going with it kept going through the algorithm, and then it repaints all of it. And then we just add the button. So yeah, that's the class for the constructor basically. And then we have some other functions here. I'm gonna start actually at the bottom with the paint component class first. Now, again, this is something I'm not very familiar with the paint component class, or the method. But basically, you have to declare this, and you're overriding. So this function's already been declared in the JPanel class, and you're overriding it. And then you have this like super.paint component. I believe what this is doing is this is calling the paint component method from the JComponent class, which is the class that that's the class that JPanel inherits from. So that's what that's for. And then we set the background to black, and then we just have this for loop, which basically this is just drawing the array to the screen. So that's what this is doing. It's going through each one. And then we have an if statement here. Basically, this is setting the draw color to red for the values that are being compared currently. Then this is where it gets really complicated. I mean, it's not very complicated, but this is basically where I just went on Stack Overflow and copy and pasted, because I have no idea how this timer thing works for the bubble sort animate function or method that we created. The purpose of this is basically, if we don't have this, then it'll literally solve the algorithm and then just immediately draw to the screen. So rather than showing the elements being compared and then moved throughout the array, it'll just give us the result instantly. So we need this timer. We have to declare an instance of the timer class. Then we set the new timer. I basically have it set to 1 millisecond, so it'll wait like a millisecond. A single millisecond before it continues on. And then we have an action listener, just like with the buttons, right? And basically we have this if else statement here. And then first thing it does is it checks to see if it's sorted. If it's sorted, if the array has been completely sorted and it's done, then it's just going to stop this because we don't need to keep going anymore. If it's not, then it's going to call the sort only one item, but it will first check to make sure that is running is equal to true, because if it's been set to false, then we change the compare index value to like integer max, so we'll get some sort of error from that if we don't have this code here. And then it repaints it. Okay, and then we call the start method for it. Now, what is this sort only item function? Now this right here, this is the bubble sort method that we're using. Now, like I said earlier, we can't just use a regular bubble sort algorithm, because if we use the standard one, it'll basically perform the entire algorithm and then it's done. We won't be able to see the visualization. We actually have to make it so that this method only sorts oh, sorry. This basically makes a single comparison. Okay, this only does one comparison at a time. Now it functions very similarly, obviously, to the regular bubble sort implementation that you're probably familiar with. You see, we have this if statement here, which compares the compare index, the array at the compare index, to the array at the compare index plus 1. Now think of like in the bubble sort, like the standard bubble sort implementation, compare index is like the J inside of the nested for loop, and then array index is the I. So imagine that to get a better idea. So if this one's bigger than this one, then it'll swap them. And then this right here is making sure that compare index is not greater than or equal to array.length minus index minus 1 to make sure that we're not comparing it to any numbers that have already been sorted, and also to make sure that we don't go out of bounds potentially at the beginning. And then if like this one, basically if we've gone as far as compare index can go, then we will increment the array index, and then we set compare index back to 0 for when we start performing, because we have to start at the beginning again. And if this if statement's not made, then we just increment compare index as normal. And that is pretty much it. I think I did like a really awful job explaining this. I don't think anybody, if there's anyone watching this, I don't think anyone actually learned from this, but I tried my best, guys, alright? I at least deserve a pat on the back or something for this video, but yeah, that's pretty much all I have. We'll open it one more time. It's a pretty simple project, but I'm proud of this. This is pretty good. I mean, yeah, it could be better, but I don't know. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope it maybe gave you guys some ideas. Maybe you can learn something from this and get some couple ideas on how to make something similar. But yeah, that's all I have. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.